I want to go to my next guest, who's also a good friend of the show. I haven't seen her in a while, so it's good to be catching up with her, Margaret Kimberley. And just to give her bio a read, Margaret Kimberley, she's a senior columnist and editor for Black Agenda Report and author of Prejudential, Black America and the Presidents. I've gotten far better at saying that word, prejudential. I can say it 1,000 times, nail it. How you doing? You doing okay this morning? Oh, what happened? Oh, she'll be back. She'll be back. She'll be back. I know she'll be back. I swear to God, she'll be back. I don't know what happened. She just dropped out, but she will be back. Margaret Kimberley is fantastic. We haven't had her on the show in a while, so it is great to be able to catch up with her and have a conversation with her. By the way, while we wait on Margaret, oh, she's back. Okay, good. I was going to go into another story. Welcome to the show. How you doing today? You doing okay?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. A little glitch there, but we're good now.
Excellent. I am happy to have you. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to you in a while, so it's always good to catch up. There are several stories that I want to hit with you on and get your take on. I am fascinated by some of this stuff. I'm not going to show Macron getting slapped by his wife. That is the funniest thing in the world to me. I'm resisting the urge to show that. I'm going to go to something else. This is, and I guess there are two things. In fact, there's more than two. One is Trump's big, beautiful bill. There's that. Another thing is an admission by a Biden administration official that is absurd. It's like just the notion that they call this good politics is absurd. And I guess the last thing, where is it? Right here. So let's go to the first one first. The big, beautiful bill. So as you know, Donald Trump has been doing interview after interview. Republicans have been doing interview after interview. Some have been shilling for that bill. And Trump is like, oh, no, it's not going to raise taxes at all. And he even at one point said, look, it's not going to cut benefits because people are going to be so rich and they're going to be getting so much money and things are going to be so cheap that there's not going to be any change at all or reduction in food benefits and stipends and everything else. Now, I've pointed out before that Donald Trump lies as easily as he breathes. And if you told me it was raining, I would check outside and wouldn't believe it even if it was raining. This is what the bill actually does. For one, it puts $20 trillion of debt on the budget. $20 trillion. And for people to put that in context, we are $36 trillion in debt currently. Trump is talking about adding another 5 trillion within like the first year or so. So there's that for the party that's supposed to care about the budget, care about the deficit and all this other stuff. They don't care about it at all. As Dick Cheney said, deficits don't matter, especially when you're a Republican. The other part to this has to do with the effect this is going to have on the population. So if you notice, if you make between $0 and $17,000 a year, you lose $940 out of his tax plan. If you make $17,000 to $51,000, you lose $580,000. So he is effectively punishing the poorest percentile in the American electorate and demographic. If you are lucky enough to make $51,000 and $93,000, you gain $815. And then, of course, that number gets astronomical the higher up you go. So by the time you hit $4 million, this is what, $390,000. And imagine if you are Elon Musk. Imagine if your name is Donald Trump. Like if you were making $390,000 with $4 million, what do you make when you're making $50 million a year, $100 million a year? Like what does that number look like? Which is kind of the point of these bills. Give me your take on this. I mean, like people have pointed out, like this is the biggest attack on the poor. And it's not the only attack, just to be very clear. The diminishment of the dollar has lost value. So anything that you're buying overseas or at the very least something that's not in the context of America, you pay more for it now. I mean, about like 10%, if not more. Tariffs are increasing the cost of items. And again, Donald Trump, flamboyant liar, is like, oh, no, they're not. And then when you point out where Amazon wants to put the price increase, oh, my God, I can't believe they're doing that. That's an attack. Okay, well, what is your issue? If it's not going to increase the cost, right? Like, meaning there are multiple angles to this attack on the poorest in this country, not to mention the college loan thing, effectively resuming that. So now people have to pay their college loans, and I forget the number of people that have defaulted already, but that number is astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your take on this. I mean, it's like, I know I'm complaining about this, but it's not like Democrats was doing anything to bolster any of the stuff in the first place.
Well, I recall during one of Obama's budget, people were kicked off of food stamps, were kicked off of Medicaid. So it goes up, it goes down. Democrats do something which hurts poor people. Republicans do. The question, it's all relative, right? How many people are hurt when, for example, the COVID programs expire? And millions of people who had SNAP benefits, who had Medicaid benefits, suddenly lost them.
Yeah.
So this is a recurring theme in U.S. politics: how to hurt poor people. It's it should be in the platforms of both parties. The issue with Trump being this flamboyant personality, this. What I can't remember the word I'm trying to say, somewhat delusional. I'm never sure if he's just making things up, if he knows he's lying, or if he just wants to believe and wants you to believe that what he says is true. But regardless, it actually doesn't really matter which it is. There are all these extravagant promises about how he's going to help the economy and help people, but these tariffs are killing people. They're killing small businesses. The kind of people who voted for him are being hurt. Well, anybody who buys anything is being hurt. His economic policies are hurting everybody. I guess that's the difference between Trump and other presidents. Everybody's being hurt, except for the richest people. But the fact that Trump is doing basically what he wants to do proves how badly Democrats lie when they claim there's something they can't do to help people. I mean, Trump is he's off the chain. He's telling Ivy League colleges what to do. He's telling law firms you won't have security clearances unless you promise to give pro bono services to somebody I tell you to pick. I'm going to have 145% tariffs. Actually, no, not 145% tariffs. I mean, he's just going off, doing whatever he wants, using the bully pulpit of the presidency. And I hope that's what people remember. For Democrats, what was it? The parliamentarian says we can't raise the minimum wage. Of course, the vice president can overrule the parliamentarian. They didn't tell you that. So we had one party that pretends that they're the party of working people, the party that's going to help people who are low income, but that does nothing of the sort, versus a party that tells you everybody's going to prosper when in fact nobody's prospering. So it's just pick your liar, pick your lie. Who's going to tell what lie? But this is very serious. I don't mean to diminish the damage that's being done by the Trump administration. This grandiosity, that's the word I was searching for, that, everything is like, it's the golden age of America. It's a big, beautiful bill. It's, his hucksterism taken to the presidency. But this is not a good moment. But the thing I worry about when he leaves office is that the Democrats will do even less. They will point to him and say, we're not Trump, and they will do terrible things, or they'll do nothing, and they'll just, their answer to everything will be, well, they want us to be like Trump. So this is dangerous for a lot of reasons. It's bad for the country. It's worsening the living conditions of millions of people. And I don't see it getting any better, though, when he leaves office.
But see, I don't see how they could do less, frankly. Like, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Joe Biden, can anybody really think of anything that he did in real terms? I mean, yeah, they may say Build Back Better, But Build Back Better was supposed to be like a $3 trillion bill that got scaled all the way back to less than $1 trillion, if not even less. And can anybody really point to anything that they got out of it? Like, meaning
it didn't happen. I mean,
exactly.
There was an infrastructure bill, but Build Back Better was supposed to cover all these things, but it didn't happen. And I think the oligarchs didn't want it to happen, so it didn't.
Precisely my point. Like, how could they do less?
I know. So I guess they can pretend differently. But that's the in addition to the things Trump is doing that are harming so many people, it's harming the understanding of politics. And I see the blue no matter who crowd feeling vindicated. See, we told you you have to have a Democrat. Trump is infinitely worse. So when you have a Democrat who doesn't help people or who hurts people in some way, the answer will be, but you don't want Trump, do you? So I feel like it's like the death spiral of the country, frankly.
I agree with you about the death spiral thing. I disagree. I think that it's hurting politics. Or how can I say this? I think I agree with you, but I think I disagree with you. And I know that sounds weird. It sounds like I'm splitting baby. What I mean by that is, it was something that you said when you first came on, that what you hope people remember is what he was able to do in that office. Meaning this excuse that Democrats have, oh my God, the parliamentarian, I can't increase the minimum wage because, the parliamentarian said I can't do it. So, oh God, golly gee, what can I do? Or this idea of, oh, don't want to use executive orders because, they're just executive orders. And oh golly gee, what can I do? Meaning this notion that the presidency, like where they make this argument, I'm only the president, I'm the weakest man on the planet. It's nonsense.
Of course it is.
What I hope they see is exactly what you point out. The moving and shaking, yeah, it's a lot of gyrations, amounting to just hurting people. But you could also use that office as a power position also, in the way that you go after your political opponents that's on your own side, that don't tell your agenda, that you can do executive orders. For God's sake, he's like, I'm going after drug companies if they don't lower costs. Also, you expect them to eat the costs. Yes, that's exactly what I expect them to do. I'm going to punish them if they don't. Okay, a socialist could have said that, right? Like, that could have come out of the mouth of somebody who's like a communist, who's like, I'm putting price controls, and if they don't do it, I'm going to punish them in some way. I'm saying that, yes, Democrats may try to use this argument of, well, Donald Trump, bad man, vote for us. But the same argument could be used against them, saying, look, you guys made all of these excuses for all of these years about not being able to do anything. Oh my God, we can't do anything. I'm just the president of the US. When Trump got in office, even without Congress, he is all over the place. Foreign policy issues, domestic policy issues. He's getting into trying to force Walmart to eat the cost of his own tariffs, trying to force Amazon to eat the cost of his own tariffs. Like, he is threatening companies, threatening colleges. Like, he is bending a lot of the political space to his will in a way the Democrats say were fundamentally impossible. So yes, damaging politics in some way, but also giving a lesson in what can be done in that office if you have somebody who's motivated and who, wants to get something accomplished. It's just.
But that's the problem. Yeah. Democrats are not going to do that. They are, I think it's funny that there are, the Democratic oligarchs are so incompetent. It's their fault that Trump is president now, that they didn't get rid of Biden sooner, that they messed up his departure. They allowed him to mess things up. That's a whole other story. But they hold sway. They're the people, the billionaires who are Democrats. They determine what Democrats do. Now, are they going to step back? Are Democrats going to be independent of them? No and no. So, and there's so many people. I think it's funny that Democrats always talk about how MAGA are so brainwashed and they're so stupid and they don't think for themselves. They're no more brainwashed than Democrats, I know.
Exactly.
And Democrats, I do not see people reaching the conclusion that I would hope they would reach, that, wait a minute, I've been scammed. This is going to be another scam in 2028. That's what I would hope that people would see. Instead, it's going to be Trump, bad man. He's gone. Any Democrat is better. And you get somebody, with the right spin doctor, and people will go along with just about anything because the Democrats are doing it and because it's not Trump.
That is so unfortunate. And
It is. Yeah.
To your point, this came out, this might have been a lever news, I think is what they call it. Listen to what they said the Democrats are doing, because they realize, okay, we have a problem. Okay, well, what is that problem? We've lost the working class. That's the problem that we have. Okay, so now we need to figure out how to get the working class back. All right, so how are we going to do that? So this is one of the articles. Listen to what this says. It points out, it says, for now, Democratic donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back the working class voters, commissioning new projects that can read the anthropological studies of people from faraway places. It's in the prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times, aims to reverse the erosion of the Democratic support among young men, especially online. It's codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promotes investment in, quote, study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention in virtually all of these spaces, unquote. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things. Are you effing kidding me?
Well, but as we just said, the oligarchs have told them, you are not going to do anything for people. There is not going to be a public option in healthcare. There's not going to be an increase in the minimum wage. You are not going to help people at all. It's any social programs, any benefits. It's not happening. So when you do that, if that's off limits, then all you have left is some BS about advertising on video games. I mean, the answer is pretty simple. Do something for people. Bring back the child tax credit. I mean, that is something I talk about a lot, but I'm sorry. I believe if people still had their pandemic era child tax credit, Biden could have run again. People wouldn't have cared he was senile. They would have said, that's all right. I'll vote for him again. I'll put it back in.
I agree with you.
But the most obvious thing to do something on that benefits the people is something that is off the table. It's not on the agenda at all. And that's, getting a Democratic Joe Rogan and all manner of nonsense is all that they can talk about, because the thing that really will help them as a party is something that's off limits.
Yeah. Well, they had a Democratic Joe Rogan. His name was Joe Rogan. Just saying, Joe Rogan was a Bernie voter. And I remember Bernie Sanders was having this interview recently, and I think it was like 3 guys, all of which are considered like MAGA types. And they were begging Sanders to run. It's like, please run again. Please run again. And it's like, okay, you've defined these people as Trumpers, and yet they're begging Sanders to run. Like, what they need to reconcile is that the model to which they get elected may not be the model to which they operate. Like, if I'm doing goldfish videos on YouTube, let's say I love goldfish for whatever reason, I am just a goldfish fanatic, and I say, you know what, I'm going to start a goldfish channel, and I'm going to do 5 videos a day talking about goldfish, this goldfish, that goldfish, the water, etc. And after 5 years, I get like 500 views, like on all my videos. Maybe the model that I'm operating on is not conducive to getting views. Like, maybe you just have to accept, okay, me liking goldfish is just my own personal thing, that I can't go big my goldfish, whatever, right? Like, I'm saying that may be the same thing for them that they need to reconcile, that this model to which they're trying to gain voters may not be through the path of propaganda. People might have gotten, especially social media, and you don't even need the majority. You just need a fixed amount that makes it impossible for you to win. It may be that. And they just can't reconcile it. I don't know if they can't countenance it. I don't know if winning just matters less than, getting money. And if that's true, that's just a cult. That is a fundraising mechanism, not
It is. It is. It's a cult and a money laundering scheme.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
I think
And
Darwin said that too, but they're not a
that's
real
it.
political party.
No, they aren't. They aren't at all. They aren't an opposite. They're not a real political party on their own. So that means they can't be a real opposition party. I mean, think about the things that people got excited about. Cory Booker talking for 25 hours. I mean, people were excited. And if you weren't excited, people would say, don't you know he talked for 25? I was like, yeah, I know. But did it move a needle? Did it keep Trump from doing anything? No, nothing. So we have,
No tax, no tips.
yes, it's so this a system with no legitimacy with anybody. Well, broadly speaking, no legitimacy with the public is one we're just going to go back and forth, Democrats and Republicans, with nothing done for the people, policies that actually harm people, always being the case. That's never what anybody says. Trump says we're all going to win because of tariffs. And no, everybody loses because of tariffs, because they think they can destroy China's economy, which they cannot do.
Right.
It's a futile effort.
Right.
China, there is everything they do to try to hurt China hurts the U.S. Keeping out Chinese cars or keeping them from buying chips, or none of it works. None of it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. God, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Listen to this. This is one of the people who used to work in the administration. And she's talking about Trump's tariffs. Because when Joe Biden came in, Joe Biden didn't remove Donald Trump's tariffs. He just kept the tariffs. Listen to what she says.
And I'll be honest, when I was in the Biden administration, we did this 4-year tariff review, and we got, 1,496 comments from industry associations and companies, and it's open to the public. You can go and read them, talking about the tariffs. And companies would say these tariffs are, harming us, or these tariffs actually do help us. And overall, because I read through them and I had an intern do an assessment of them, about 2/3 of the comments were that the tariffs were hurtful. And yet we did nothing about that. I mean, to me, that's just the triumph of politics over policy analysis, right? Because you're basically, I think there was an overall concern. Ramin, maybe you want to weigh in on this. He's sitting in the back there. He was at the State Department and worked on economic policy. I'd be interested to know whether you agree with me or not. But to me, that's, there was a fear that, you would be attacked.
Easy.
Attacked by whom?
Well, I assume she means by the Republicans for being apparently
by the Democrats. It's like,
they thought they were going to get hit for being weak on China by removing the tariffs, and so they just kept them on.
So they kept them. They kept Trump's tariffs. Look at all the messes Biden did. Obama had the nuclear deal with Iran. Trump gets rid of it. Biden continues Trump's policy. Now, Iran is enriching uranium, which is their right to do, by the way. So now Trump is threatening, and Israel are threatening a war against Iran, which is easier to do because Biden went along with what Trump did. He went along. You can't buy a Chinese car. People all over the world want these electric vehicles, but you can't get them here because of tariffs. I don't know. I suppose that protects U.S. automakers, but overall, it doesn't help anybody else. And okay, let's say you are protecting U.S. automakers. You could make that argument, I suppose, that they should be protected. But what are they doing in exchange for the protection? What are they doing for the public? Are their products getting better? Are they hiring people? Are they moving factories out of the country? What are they doing in exchange for this protection? So, and they even want to, encircle China, stop China, start a war with China over something you can't do. You just cannot do it. And rather than peacefully coexist and help the whole country, possibly help American businesses, you have administration after administration coming up with these crazy plans that never go anywhere. And they don't do anything to help the people either. So just drop the student loans. All this, I keep thinking about, well, There's nothing Biden can do about student loans. And Trump's doing whatever he wants about everything.
That's my point.
And now he's like, you got to pay back your student loans. People's FICO scores have plummeted. That means you can't buy a house, a car. There's some places you can't get a job. Other things, I recently found out your car insurance rates can go up if your FICO score goes down. All kinds of things.
That's outrageous.
It is outrageous. And the whole, let's talk about scams, the whole credit score. That's a big, one of the bigger scams in the country. But in any case, this is where we are. We have one party that Trump has a vision for the country. It's not my vision. It's a country where white people are on top. There'll be a few black and brown people. They know they can't get rid of black Americans because, we're from here, came here before his family did. So they're kind of stuck with us, but they want to get rid of immigrants from other places, help rich people. Everybody goes along with what they want and shuts up. They can control whatever they want to control. That's his vision. What is the Democrats' vision? Do they have one?
I'm unaware of one that they have. I mean, like I've said before, they should have had their own Project 2025 or whatever the hell ever. They should have had their own articulation of, in fact, Ted Rawl has a book called What's Left. And he goes through these various ideas for the left in a way that's like, this is what this is what we should be pushing for. This is what we should be aiming for. This is how you pay for it. Democrats is nothing like that. Like I don't know if they believe in anything, to be honest. In fact, I don't think they believe in anything. I just think they, like you said, a cult that's a fundraising mechanism or money laundering mechanism. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, because political parties are kind of like armies. Like they have objectives. They're things that they want to do, things they want to accomplish, things that they push for, and they try to move the goalposts in a particular direction. That's not really what Democrats do. I mean, when is the last Democrat that has tried to move the goalposts? Obama did Obamacare, which was just Romney care. So that's kind of a Republican idea. I don't know what that goalpost.
Not even Romney care. It was Nixon care. It was basically what Nixon proposed back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I mean, the best thing about it was a Medicaid expansion, frankly, but there's states that still have. But that's an example of something Democrats could have done. There are states, there's like one state in the north and the rest are in the south. The states that didn't take the Medicaid expansion, it looks like a map of the Confederacy. Seriously. It's like all southern states. And you mean to tell me, so if you live in those states and you're low income, you cannot get Medicaid like you should be able to get Medicaid. And there was no way to provide people in those states with Medicaid benefits? There was nothing you could do. There was nothing. You couldn't have a public option for low-income people in certain states. There was absolutely nothing you could do. And that's not true. That's just not true. But that's an example of something they go on. It's how many years ago since Obamacare? What is it, 15 years ago? And if you criticize Democrats or criticize him specifically, it's like Obamacare. Okay, it's 15 years ago. What did you do since? What did he do after that? What did Biden do?
And keep in mind, Biden got elected saying he was going to push for a public option and $15 an hour minimum wage and legalize marijuana and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it just guts any level of credibility in regards to the political space. One last thing before I let you go. Give me a take on not affirmative. Jesus Christ, I'm about to say affirmative care. Reparations as a platform for Democrats. I mean, granted, they would never push for it. And if anything, they'll just say, yeah, we'll do another study, like after the 30th study that they've had in so many years. But there's some people who make the argument that that is a Hail Mary that would be interesting and beneficial, not just for African Americans who are descendants of slaves, but also the entirety of the country. I mean, you're effectively talking about putting money into the hands of people who are going to spend that money almost immediately, considering Blacks have little to no wealth in comparison to whites. I mean, the last stat I saw was something like blacks have like 14,000 in wealth compared to 100 and something thousand to whites.
Yeah.
The number is mind blowing, and most of them have zero. Like, it's averaged out. So you may have some people who are, the Puff Daddies of the world or the Bill Cosbys of the world with all of this money. But most people are just minimum wage, barely making ends meet, in debt. And so when that stuff averages out, it averages out to like $14,000. You ideally, depending upon what it is, would try to change that metric. Now, I don't think whites are going to go for it. I think they would lose their mind, especially poor whites. But from the standpoint of a platform, give me a take on that. And this can be the last question, by the way.
I'm of two minds about and you mentioned wealth. Most of the wealth Black people have is in home ownership. And who lost homes during Obama's administration and who didn't lift a finger to help? Anyway, that's a whole other story. I'm of two minds. The issue of reparations, it's one of international law. The United Nations, and I'm blanking on the name of the convention, but to make repair, to restore communities that have been harmed, deliberately harmed, is international law. So it's something you should not have to justify. I mean, I think our common sense tells you that if people, and let's not stop with slavery either, Jim Crow segregation, restricted covenants, redlining, just straight up discrimination, all of these things are an indication that there is a group of people, in this case, Black people from this country, who should be restored and should be helped. Now, it's not going to fly. Democrats, as ever, are phony. They never bring it up, and they only bring up a study about it, and they only do that when they're out of power. When the Republicans are in, Democrats talk about doing a study about reparations, instead of concentrating on all the things we just talked about. Helping people who lost their homes during the mortgage crisis, the real estate bubble, as an example. Just writing off these student loans, changing that process forever, get rid of it. So I'm not going to say that reparations is a bad thing, but and it also lets them off the hook. And I think it lets a lot of people off the hook when there are very basic political things that it could improve people's lives that they do not do. And I also have to say this, a country that is committed to helping Israel commit genocide is not going to do a 180 and pay reparations.
Right there.
It is not going to happen. That country that is devoted to, that is committed to actually making people suffer around the world, that is a priority for the system, is not going to pay reparations. It's not going to happen. So
you're so right.
I hope that made sense, since I
You're
am of
so
two
right.
minds.
No, you're so right. Margaret, thank you for this. I always appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And don't forget my book.
Oh, Presidential, right here. Margaret Kimberley, she is senior columnist and editor for Black Agenda Report. Check them out. It is a fantastic outlet. Also, her book, Presidential, Black America and the Presidents. By the way, they can get that on Amazon, correct?
Yes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of them.
Check it out. And you can, on Twitter, Freedom Ride Blog, and you can follow her. Yeah. Is there anywhere else that your work shows up as opposed to Black Agenda Report and your
just blackagendareport.com every Wednesday, which is, I think that's tomorrow. We have a new issue every Wednesday, Black Agenda Radio on Fridays, and you can check me out, as you said, on X, Freedom Ride Blog. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for this. You be safe. Have a good one.
You too. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right.